Hi, everybody. We have Katrina G here with us today, and Katrina has recently completed the Ignite Your Life Reset. I had a great conversation with her about a week and a half ago, and I just want to share with you all Katrina and her experiences and let her tell you how it's been for her. So, Katrina, I'm just wondering, it's been a couple weeks since you've completed the release phase and you're kind of in the maintenance and beyond phase. I'm wondering how you're feeling right now.
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling so great and proud of myself for actually being disciplined and doing this. So, yeah, I feel really, really good.
Yeah. And I'm wondering how you felt during the reset, because there are the 6 weeks of the release phase where it's a more structured kind of way of eating certain foods we're not eating, and then certain practices. So, how was that process for you?
Well, for the way my mind works, it's actually really comfortable because I like the boundaries. Because I don't have to think. It's like, okay, I just follow these instructions and I know it's gonna work. It's like, because if I do whatever I want to do and eat mindlessly, God only knows what will happen. But if I know I just follow these steps and I'm gonna have what I want on the other side of it, it feels comfortable for me.
That makes sense. Absolutely. And I'm
Yeah.
wondering what some of your goals were going into the reset, like some of the goals you had for yourself.
Well, probably the number one goal was to lose belly fat. So that was the main thing. And then also, um, I want to head off the horrors of menopause, as I'm approaching that. I thought, you know what? I am not messing around. I don't want to be miserable like all these women I hear are going through this and that. So I thought, if I can get ahead on this thing and get myself balanced before all that stuff sets in, maybe I can get through it without all the weird hormonal stuff. Because what I'm understanding, not even just through menopause, but just as women's health in general, if we can balance our hormones, then we're more in balance. And we actually have control over that, which I didn't quite realize until I um, got more focused on this program that you're offering. It's like you hear it a million times, but to actually live it, that's a different experience. Um, and I think, as with anything that we learn, you have to go through it a little bit before you really get it. And I think I finally get it. Like it's just so cut and dry and crystal clear to me that I have full control of my reality and I just need to stay in balance. It's simple.
It can be really simple. And I think you have so much wisdom and insight to be thinking ahead, in the years to come around prevention of menopause or other ailments people talk about. That doesn't have to be your experience, right? You can have a different experience with your health in your life and be in your optimal state of well-being, and that you have that control. You're able to make those decisions, and that it's not like a couple of months going through a program, but it's really about like your whole rest of your life, like the long-term vision for your life.
Definitely, definitely. And it's so funny. So many people are like, okay, so when you're done with this thing, let's do this or let's do that. Everyone, I had a stack of people wanting to go eat out with me. And I said, you don't understand. This is not a temporary thing. I'm doing a lifestyle change here. Like I'm not gonna like go all out. It's like I'm still gonna be boring to eat with, but in their eyes, because so many people are so junk food centric. It's
Mhm.
like eating healthy is considered a diet, and it's like, no, this is how you're supposed to eat. Like it's not a diet.
Right. It's a way of life, and you're leading by
Yes,
example, even if people around may not understand it. Just being that living example, I think, is setting a really good precedence, for healthy living for others around you.
Yeah, and actually I was chatting with the girl. I went to I ended up in the grocery outlet the other night. I don't usually go there much. But was talking to this young girl at the checkout about it. She's like, "Oh my gosh, you're really inspiring me. I want to do a reset too." And she's looking at all my food. She's like, "You have some good stuff in here." And I said, "You know what? Do not mess around. Like, just have a good life."
Exactly. Have a good life and eat real food, right? We've talked about this in some of our
Yes.
other conversations, like eating real food that comes from a farm and not a factory, like real fruits and veggies and
Yeah.
whole foods and not things in a box or a bag most of the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so do you feel like you're able to meet some of your goals on the other side now that you're complete with the reset?
Yeah, I feel like I have a good grasp on it. And I was a little nervous because, two major things happened as I came out of the reset. One, I went to Tijuana and was going on a vegan food fest. And then secondly was Thanksgiving, which was also I went to a vegan potluck of 250 people. So another food fest, even more than Tijuana. And I thought, how am I going to get through these two things without just totally messing up everything I did? And you really reassured me by telling me that, like most vegan food isn't going to cause you that much problem. So I thought, okay. So I was really in shock. I caught back from Tijuana, and that was like, the first part of the maintenance. So the scale jumped up like 4 or 5 pounds, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But then I read my notes and I was like, no, this is supposed to happen. And then it went back down. And then I did Thanksgiving. It didn't change at all. And I even had a piece of vegan cheesecake and a slice of vegan pumpkin pie. And I'm like, wow, nothing changed. I'm like, okay, so that's good. I can enjoy my life. Doesn't mean I need to eat like that every day, because that's where it gets slippery. So now what is it, like a week, almost a week after Thanksgiving, the scale has been about the same. And I think I'm like, anyway, I lost 18 to 20 pounds. It's hard to tell because I can't remember exactly. Well, and I don't count, like when you do that loading phase and the scale goes up, I don't count that as my starting point because I'm like, that's not where I started. Even though I know that that's how you calculate it, but so that's why I say it's 18 to 20 pounds. But yeah, so far 2 weeks and I've been hovering at the same weight. So I'm like, all right, so I'm committing to eating through the guidelines, which is easy to do because the food tastes so great. And it's so much easier to shop when you know what your plan is. And then as the holidays come and go, then I'll just eat here and there what I want. And, I don't eat anything crazy since I'm vegan. I mean, there's a lot of horrible vegan foods that can blow you up, but I don't eat things out of a box. So it's, I finally was like, no boxes.
That's a good kind of non-negotiable to have going
Yeah,
forward.
that's what
Well,
got me in this mess in the first place.
well, I think you spoke to something really important, how you've been able to go on a trip and enjoy Thanksgiving, and the scale hasn't moved that much. And that's because you've reset your metabolic set point, your digestive fire, your set point, your metabolic rate is different now, which means you should be able to enjoy a vegan cheesecake or an outing with a friend, and then come back to your foundational principles that you have, for the long term, that we have to enjoy the life, right? But also like have some discipline and some intention.
Yeah, I mean, it's really great. And I'm really excited about now integrating my daily sun salutations. I've been kind of rebellious about that in my mind. I'm like, I don't want to get up and do that. Then I thought, you know what? I'll just do one round. And so I did my one round. I'm like, all right, that's a start. But then I thought, because I found this app, and you always tell us to ask what's our why. And I kept thinking, I don't know what my why is. Why am I doing yoga? And, but then the app gave me a why, because it said that the sun salutations help with metabolism. And I was like, well, shoot, that's the trajectory I'm on. So I'm like, all right, that's why I want to do it now, because it's going to maintain good metabolism. Okay, I'm on board. Like I need the why. I understand now why you emphasize that.
Yeah, that's such a good point, to really be clear, like why we're doing what we're doing, and then it becomes more second nature. Like then we want to
Yeah,
do it. It's less effort, there's less resistance, right?
yeah. You can't do it just because you know it's supposed to be good for you. It doesn't really work. But yeah, everyone has a different way of finding their why, but it's so important.
So true. Well,
So
Katrina, for anybody considering doing the reset, do you have any words of wisdom or anything you'd like to share with them today?
yeah, definitely. And one thing that's important to share too is this is my second time doing it. So I think what's important, people get really discouraged when they go into something new. And I had good results the first time as well, but I didn't have my why yet, and I got kind of off the track. So I think um kind of the takeaway I would give, I think that's the way to say it, is just keep trying. It's like you have to go through your practice a few times before you really get it. Like if it's like when you learn how to ride a bike, you don't just go down the hill. You fall down a couple times, and then you're totally riding nicely. So, like I would suggest take it that way. Um, and I feel like my second time I'm going to be more successful because I understand it deeper, and it's easier for me to adhere to the guidelines because it makes more sense. So, yeah, just go easy on yourself and give yourself a chance to do it however many times it takes until you get it the way you want it.
Amazing. Thank you for that. Well, it's been so enjoyable supporting you during this process. I've known you a lot of years and I just
Yes.
admire you so much. And thank you for walking the talk and being that shining example of health in the world, Katrina.
Well, thank you so much for your support. And I'm going to be asking for it again because now I'm going to set up an appointment with you because now I'm going to travel for a couple of months. So that's a new phase. So I'm excited to have you for that. Like you're such a great support in this process. The information you provided already is really great, but then your support when needed it's always perfect. So yeah, anybody that's considering this program, I think they're in for a treat if they get to work with you.
Oh, thank you so much, Katrina. Great seeing you today.
You're welcome, and great to see you too.
Take good care.
You too.